Okay, so this is my follow-up for Sublocade. Um, it's been almost a year, well, 10 months or so, since my very first Sublocade injection. My first one was on October 26th, 2018, and now here it is, almost mid-September 2019. I had 3 injections a month apart. One at the end of October for 300 milligrams, one again in November for 300, and then they got an exception through the insurance company because it wasn't working very well. And instead of getting the 100 maintenance injection, I got another 300. This drug allegedly, in my opinion, was pushed to market too soon. I think they only did like one study allegedly where they tested it and fast-tracked it through the FDA because they thought that it was going to be some type of awesome thing. And I think that maybe they didn't do enough research on the depot and how to handle certain scenarios, because what would basically happen is every month I would get the injection, and within 3 to 7 days later I would end up in severe withdrawal, get very, very sick, and end up having to go back on films and pay out of pocket. Obviously that just became too expensive, and there's no reason for you have to spend that kind of money on films when you're getting a $1,600 injection every month. So I'm not sure exactly what it was about Sublocade that didn't work, because I don't understand the Atrogel depot that well. Neither does my doctor, and neither does anyone else. Invidior didn't really have any better advice for me. We started a case with them. They really don't have much to say about it or much to help with. It's very difficult to get a hold of them anyway, because you'll file a safety report with them. They'll take all of your information, and then out of the blue, like 6 months later, they'll finally call you from some number overseas in like India or the UK, and they'll leave you a message with a phone number, and it'll just go to voicemail, and then they'll never call you back. So getting a hold of them is really a crapshoot. So there's no real way to get any type of resolution. So these drugs are very scary. When you're on them, because of how new they are, you feel like a guinea pig, and I just don't like that. The first injection I got in the lower right quadrant at the end of October 2018. It was a big ball. I waited about a week before I ended up on films again. Every day I just felt worse and worse. This wasn't great. It was just this big bump inside. Then the second one, I got in the upper right quadrant, and he kind of smashed it with his hand after he gave it to me. And it felt kind of like the shape of a leaf because of the way he smushed it. I was sick pretty quick on that one, except something weird happened, and I think a piece of it broke off or something, because I felt really loopy and almost like an opiate high for a day. It was actually on Thanksgiving, unfortunately. After feeling really terrible right before that, something really bad happened. That was like 3 days after the injection. And then the very last one, that was it for me. I was not doing this anymore. It was in my lower left quadrant, and basically he gave it to me, and it was like right up against my hip bone, really, really deep by the muscle. It hurt. It was swollen. I didn't get any medication out of it, and it was just a big nightmare. Nobody knows what to do about it. Nobody wants to fix it. I mean, this is just a really bad situation. That, I have to say, here it is almost a year later, and I've got 3 pretty full depots still inside of me right now, and nobody knows what to do. So I don't know if it's not dissolving because I'm a person that needs a lot of water, and I have a very fast metabolism, so I'm like kind of perpetually dehydrated no matter what I do. It's like I've got 2 speeds. Either I'm dehydrated, or I'm trying really hard to drink water all day, and then I have to pee every 5 seconds, which is no fun. So I kind of have to pick which I'd rather do. I've always been that way. And I also don't have a lot of fat on my abdomen at all. So I don't know if those could be contributing factors. Maybe that's why it's not working well for me, or didn't work well for me. So I not only wanted to talk about Sublocade and, the fact that it just was a crapshoot. It just didn't work for me. I ended up on supplemental films every single time. But I also, wanted to talk about some other things, and follow up to what happened. Um, who would I recommend Sublocade for? Well, you know what? If you don't have any other choice and that's the option that you're given, I'm sure it's better than nothing. Because who would rather be in extreme withdrawal or have, this injection that doesn't work very well? I mean, I think it's definitely worth a shot if it's all or nothing. Also, I think if you're on a very low dose, this could be really good for you. Unfortunately, along the way I had doctors that thought more was more. I ended up stuck on a higher dose, and it was really, really hard for me to taper down. So I went directly from 24 milligrams a day to Sublocade. So that might be part of the problem. If I had to guess, I mean, I personally feel that being on Sublocade feels like about, like you're taking 1 8 milligram strip throughout the day or per day. So maybe if you're on like 8 milligrams or less, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that would be my advice. Don't take this unless you're on 8 or less, which kind of stinks because they think that 300 is too strong if you're on 8 or less. But, I don't know. That's what I would say about it. The other thing is that interesting, if you read the news and articles, like news articles, there was a lawsuit against Nvidior allegedly where I guess, I mean, I don't know, but from what I'm reading and trying to understand, it appears as though as of 2020, Nvidior will no longer be able to sell Schedule 1, 2, or 3 narcotics in the United States for a 3-year period. So if that is what I'm thinking it is, which, like I said, don't hold me accountable, I don't really know. You'll have to read for yourself. But what it's looking like is Nvidior won't be able to sell buprenorphine in any form. So Sublocade, Suboxone, whatever, for a period of 3 years starting January 2020. Now, if anybody knows anything about that, please comment down below and cite your source. That would help me out a lot. If I find articles and I get them at it, maybe I'll put them in the description box. Um, so I think that a lot of people, when they hear that, they take it wrong and they think that they're not going to be able to get any type of buprenorphine or they're going to have to be on generic tablets or something like that. But let's not forget that, Nvidior is not the only company that sells Suboxone. Now, if you've read on clinical studies and things like that, like I have, and you're really, versed in it, what you'll know is that there's generic, which is like the Dr. Reddy's films, and there's another brand of films. And then there's Zubsolv, which is Orexo. And Zubsolv is the minty tablet where it's like 5.7 tablet equals 8 milligram film of Suboxone. And then there's Bunavail, which has the same 5.7 buccal film that goes in your cheek. That's supposed to equal the 8 milligrams of Suboxone. But here's the problem, and this is what they're not telling you, and this is why a lot of these drugs are failing clinical trials, even though they're still on the market or showing to not be as effective, is because when they studied these drugs, okay, so like the Orexo, Zubsolv 8 milligram tablet, or 5.7 milligram, or the buccal Bunavail 5.7 film, what they did was they studied it against the 8 milligram Suboxone tablet before, they took those away, trying to make other people not be able to make films saying that tablets weren't safe for kids being around and things like that. And Suboxone and other buccal or sublingual films are actually 30% on average more bioavailable than the tablets or the films, or the tablets or the buccal cheek thing. So basically, a lot of people try to switch to these drugs like Zubsolv or Bunavail or generics, and they get really discouraged because they end up in withdrawal. Well, yeah, of course you are, because you're getting 30% less medication. And if you don't believe that, I'll try to cite some clinical trials down below. You can read it for yourself. So a lot of people get discouraged. But it sounds like if everything that I'm reading is right, we're not really going to have a choice. So I personally, my experience is I've been on Bunavail, I've been on Zubsolv, I've tried Roxanne tablets, I've tried other generics. I've tried them all, as far as I know. And the thing is that, yeah, it is a dose adjustment, absolutely, which isn't appropriate for people that are already at the maximum or the ceiling, because you can't take more than that. So you're not going to be able to get 4 Zubsolv tablets a day that are supposed to equal 8, but they're 5.7. You're not going to be able to do that. So that kind of puts you in a pickle. But if you're lower than that and there is room to dose higher, or you can just try to deal with it and go lower, I think it's worth it. There's some sort of filler, I think it's lactose in Suboxone films, and I don't know what else is going on in there that's different than others. I know, like, for instance, the mechanism or the way that it gets into your bloodstream with, let's say, just Zubsolv, it's more of like a mountain, like a sharp mountain peak if you look at how it's getting into blood plasma, whereas Suboxone is more of a low rolling hill. Also, whatever is in Suboxone, it makes me sick. I think that maybe a lot of people like that feeling because it's kind of an opiate-like downer feeling to them, where the brain fog and the headaches and being tired, but then still having insomnia, lack of appetite, nausea. These things are things that they were used to when they were taking a full agonist. So when they take something like Zubsolv, that doesn't feel like that at all. You don't feel withdrawal. It's kind of like this clean feeling. Like, it's hard to describe. It's like you're clear-headed, you're sharp, you're focused, you're awake, you're in a better mood, you don't have the mood swings, you've got a better appetite. I find that there's a big, big difference, and it's worth it if you can find a pharmacist that'll order it for you. But, there is that dosing issue. So, my advice is that, if you're nodding, if you're having issues with like mood swings or irritability or insomnia or being constantly tired, I think that Zubsolv is really worth a try. That would be my advice too. Like, if you're on methadone and you're trying to get off of methadone onto buprenorphine to avoid the daily clinic dosing, and you are trying to go, with a monthly prescription because you're ready in your recovery to handle your own prescription, or you're, being accused of falling asleep all the time on methadone, I think that the right thing to do would be to give Zubsolv a try. I heard there's something going on with Bunavail where it might not be as available anymore, but Zubsolv is. And I have to say, in my opinion, it's a superior medication. If you want to feel the way that you did before you were an addict, and, but you don't want to be in withdrawal, and you want to be a happy, healthy, energetic person, I'd say Zubsolv 110%. Just give it a shot. And like I said, you might have to take more, and your doctor's going to have to understand that, and you're going to have to find studies to show them that, hey, this is less bioavailable. I am going to need a higher dose. It even says it in the literature for the medication, because they did study it against tablets and not films, and there's a big difference. And I think that's something that a lot of places and people and doctors aren't talking about. So it needs to be said, especially with what's going on with Invidior. So, that's my opinion. I heard that other companies are coming out with the injection depot buprenorphine, similar to Sublocade, and, they're testing it. It's in clinical trial or something to that effect right now. I'm not sure, maybe they'll have, I heard one of them has like a crystalline depot, and if you know anything about that, please share in the comments below. Maybe they're perfecting it and they're taking time to get it right instead of pushing it so fast. That would be great. I'm not hesitant to try it again, except for the fact that here I am, over 10 months later, and I've still got all 3 shot depots, and they're all very big. You can see them looking at my stomach because I'm thin. So what a nightmare. So I don't really recommend Sublocade because of that. It's just my opinion. And to be honest with you, I know a lot of people in recovery, and I know a lot of people that have tried Sublocade, and I do not personally know of one single person that it has worked for. Not one. So, I just want everyone to know what happened, because you see a lot of these videos where people come out and they make a video, or, they post something on a group in Facebook, and a recovery group. Oh, it's my first day, everything's fine. Oh yeah, 3 days later I'm doing great. And then you don't hear from them anymore. So you're like, okay, well, I'm going to try it. No, you need to know what you're getting into. Yeah, it burns when it goes in, but that's not nothing compared to what you go through as an addict in recovery. So no big deal. Then you have this shot depot that like never dissolves. Then you're in withdrawal and you're paying for films out of pocket when you have insurance. I mean, it's just a lot of ridiculousness in my opinion. They should have studied this a lot more. You cannot put, I mean, in my opinion, a depot inside somebody's body and not study it like you for a really, really long time and in different scenarios with different types of people. And you need to have a plan for if it doesn't work. I mean, patients can't pay out of pocket like that. I mean, you're going to cause people to end up in a very bad way. So here I am, you know, I couldn't stop taking buprenorphine if I tried because I've got 3 shot depots in my abdomen almost a year later. So I get soreness where they're at. I don't know if like a scar tissue similar to like when you get breast implants is forming or what, but I have all kinds of issues and I'm wondering if it has to do with the shot depots. But nobody wants to help me, so and no, because nobody knows what to do. So here I sit. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on the different types of buprenorphine, my journey, and what's happened to me on Sublocade. So if you want any information about Zubsolv or you want some links to articles about the Invidior lawsuit or anything like that, because you should research these things for yourself, just let me know in the comments below and I'll post what I can. And you know, those are in recovery. If you need help staying in recovery or if you need tools or resources, please contact me and I will help you out because we should help each other get through this. Have a good day, and I'll keep checking in now and again to let you guys know if these are dissolving or not.